Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jimmy here with Geek Battalion Vets, bringing you another installment of our QRF series. Today's episode is all about the Brick Days event that was hosted at the Lancaster Event Center on November 19th of this year. Let's go. But first, because there's always a but first, thank you to everyone for your continued support. I know I say this each time, but truly, thank you. Our little podcast that could be is continuing to grow, and this could not happen without you and your support. So again, a genuine, heartfelt thank you to everyone. Second, be sure to snag some merch from our website, geekbattalionvets.threadless.com, to show your support of your favorite pop culture podcast. We have several designs to choose from for t-shirts, stickers, and a menagerie of other items. Show your family you love them by getting them some Geek Battalion merch today. Now, on to the episode. Invented in 1932, Lego was created by Ole Kirk Christensen of Billund, Denmark. He named his creation after the Danish phrase "legoet," meaning play well, and has it played well ever since. To date, Lego has sold over $7.2 billion worldwide of their blocks and continues to trend upward. It's not just a niche product, but a staple toy of the world. Chances are you probably played with Lego as a kid, and if you didn't, why? And second, you have probably passed that down to your children, as I know I have with mine. The great appeal about Lego is that yes, they have designs and sets that you can build step by step, but it's not limited to that, but to your imagination. What you can dream up, you can build in Lego. With this, we now talk about Brick Days. Started in 2017 at Hobbytown, Brick Days grew to booking hotel conference rooms, and now they are booking the Lancaster Event Center. This year's event hosted 75 builders with all sorts of creations. I had an opportunity to walk around and observe these creations and spoke to several of the builders. While talking with the builders, you could really see and feel the passion they had for their creations. It truly is a labor of love and art. My first interview was with Nick Moore and his Dungeons & Dragons modular system. Let's take a listen. Nick Moore, okay, can you tell me about your Lego display here?
Yeah, I made a D&D modular system. So everything, walls move, you can change base plates, fully customize your campaigns for running D&D.
Wow, this is really cool. So can you kind of talk me through like this display right here?
Yeah, so I got several different rooms set up. They enter into the dungeon. As they're exploring, they come across some traps in one of the hallways with some chains hanging down. Then they make it into a spider den area. Got to defeat some spiders. There's some more traps in the next area where they then come to the Great Hall room where we have some necromancers that are raising some skeleton armies that all of my adventurers are fighting right now.
Wow, this is really cool. Like I see, like you have a wizard there. What's he's shooting some kind of a looks like almost like a frostbolt.
Yeah, he's got like a frostbolt spell. Everything's customizable. We got several different things that are set up, weapons and whatnot, that my characters can change for if they're doing a spell or if they're doing a weapon. They get a new weapon. They get to actually equip the new weapon when they find it. So
this is really cool. Like, so have you ran a campaign with this setup yet?
I've ran campaigns with my minifigures. We are currently in the process of actually running with the setup. So just finally got all of my modular system done. So we're going to start working on the campaign, but we've done it with minifigures in the past and using those guys on boards, but now we have a Lego board that I can move around.
Next up was Brian Gill with a mountain and zoetrope effect. Brian, hey, okay, so I'm looking at your creation here, kind of like a mountain with like a strobe effect. Can you kind of talk me through this here?
Yeah, so basically have a zoetrope inside here, and I've got into stop motion, and that's what got me back into Lego as an adult. So I've always been looking for a way to do a live action animation, or being able to see it live at a show. And so I did the zoetrope, and it uses the strobe light to create the effect of the stop motion. So I started with that, with the shroud on that, and then as I was testing it, I realized that the ambient light ruined the effect. So then I had to build this front shroud as well, just to help create more shadow, so the effect would be more visible.
I'm looking at the front here, and like as the light flashes, like you see like different versions of the characters doing different poses. So that's a really awesome effect that you did there.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just showing each individual frame basically. The part of the issue is that with the size constraint, I was only able to put 12 minifigs in there in different poses. So essentially it's running at 12 frames a second. If I could make it larger, I tried running the turntable faster, but it ended up just blurring the minifigures so much that you really couldn't see much of the detail. So slowing the turntable down at about 10 to 12 frames per second was good enough for this. But yeah, I want to expand it for the next show that we do in Omaha, and hopefully get up to 24 frames a second then, with it not being so blurry.
Yeah, well, it's a really well done effect. I was actually going to ask you the frames per second that you're doing here. What's kind of like happening here in the diorama?
Just dancing around the fire there. Got the 12 orcs. I'll probably add weapons to them next time as well, just to exaggerate the motion, make it a little more visible. But yeah, just dancing around, and then you have the lone hero fighter disrupting their dark magic, basically.
Yeah, it looks like he's about to have a bad time there.
Yeah, probably. Not a good idea to run up on 12 orcs, I don't think.
Holding down a corner of the event center was George of Brickmania, which specializes in military-themed creations. So, okay, George, what can you tell me about what your Lego display is here?
Say I've got a landing craft mechanical 8 used by the U.S. Army. Got a couple Humvees on there and some ATVs, and then landing craft utility used by the United States Navy. Got some Navy CB equipment and the Marine MRAP Buffalo, and then a Australian Coyote TSV on here, and then decked out with some Marines and a few other guys.
Okay, yeah, it's pretty fitting that the Marines are on the boat where they should be, right?
Yeah, the Navy just transports them there.
That's right, yeah. So I really like your detail work here on your Humvees. Can you tell me a little bit about them?
They're actually designed by Brickmania, who I work for, and just modified them to look a little different to my taste.
Yeah, no, I like the tan collar. That's really indicative of what their collar is right now. And then, so these uniforms that you have on the Marines here, did you do those uniforms, or how did that happen?
They're custom printed minifigures from Brickmania. They just take official Lego minifigures and buff off the original artwork and then print their own on there. And then this guy here is just a Lego minifigure with stickers that they sell for a cheaper alternative to the cost of their minifigs.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about the landing crafts too.
Say the LCM-8 is used by the Army. It's been around since 1960s Vietnam era landing craft. The landing craft utility by the Navy here is probably mid-70s, early 80s. It's been around. So they take these out of LHD ships and transport everybody to the beach on them.
Okay, now are these sets available for purchase, or?
No, these are actual just my own designs that I bring to shows. A couple of them may eventually become sets. So.
Okay, how long did this one take for you to build?
This was about 6 weeks on and off to put together. Roughly 5,500 pieces.
Whew, that's pretty impressive. And so you just created it out of your memory, or like?
Print scaled blueprints to the size that I need, and then just start putting pieces together.
I stepped outside for a moment and found Matt, who created 2 displays. One, a wind turbine, and the other, half of his Mario display. Matt, how's it going?
Good, yourself?
Doing all right. So we're outside of the convention, actually, but you were telling me a little bit about your build. So what did you build again?
I brought in a mock tower of a wind tower. I brought in the nacelle and then the base of the tower to kind of show people what they look like and operate as. Most people won't ever get to go in one of them, so thought that would be neat. And then I also brought in half of a Mario display. I brought in World 1-1.
Oh, okay, yeah, World War I. Yeah, that's the iconic screen that everybody notices.
Yep.
First thing that you ever seen in Mario. So, how long did those take you to build?
Mario took us roughly about 2 months, and then the Wind Tower took me about 3-4 weeks. Yeah, at the same time.
Oh wow! And those are all just your own builds. Like you didn't use any custom set, or was it all custom sets or anything like that?
Most of it is custom sets. Yes. For the Mario, we took a few of the elements from the actual sets, used those, incorporated them, but it's mainly all my own.
Okay. And how long you been building?
I've been building since I was about 8, actually. So,
okay,
long time.
Yeah. What's your favorite display that you've seen here so far?
My favorite display, there is, I like the lenticular in there. There's one of Pinky and the Brain.
Oh,
Animaniacs.
Yeah, Pinky and the Brain. You can't go wrong with Pinky and the Brain. Yeah.
No, yeah.
Okay. Next, I moved around the center a bit and found the largest display, which was an entire town and countryside, complete with a carnival and entire train system. The display was massive, and the main creator, Nate Flood, gave me a peek behind the curtain. I have Nate from
Lolug,
and we're actually sitting in the middle of the display. That's just how big it is. It's a train display with tons and tons of parts. Can you kind of talk me through your build here?
Sure. This is a build that all of our members have contributed to. So each member may build a couple of houses, or they may build a couple of scenes from the downtown, a couple of those buildings. Then we have the farm section, and then we have the switchyard for the trains, and then we have a carnival going. And each one of our members, if they want to contribute, they'll bring, hey, I got this module that's this big, and then we'll make a map, and we know where to put it in.
Okay, yeah, because that was going to be one of my questions. How do you coordinate where everything's go? Is there just the big blueprint, and how does that work out?
Yeah, we have a program called Blue Brick, which allows us to, it's a Lego-centric program. It's free use, and it has the ability to map out roads, map out track, map out where each module would go.
Okay, yeah, because this is not something you just build at your house. You built this here, basically.
Each section will come out, and but usually that section is built at home, and the member will say, yeah, I'm building a house that's on a base plate that's 32 by 64, and then we'll just drop it in.
Okay, yeah, because that answers the question of how this is all built, because this is at least 15, 20 tables.
Oh, it's more than that. It's I think it's 3 tables wide, 5 tables length this way, and then you have the other side, which is 1, 2, 3. Looks like 4 more tables, 3 wide there, 4 tables this way, 2 tables deep, and then the fairgrounds is also 2 tables here.
Yeah, so I was severely under the number here. This is massive. There's all kinds of amazing details. You have a graveyard here. Then there's the whole switchyard. How many trains do you have going actually?
We just have 2. We just have 2 main lines right now. We have probably 50 trains amongst our members that we could run at any time. So.
Oh wow, that's just awesome. How long does it take to get this all set up?
We set up the entire room. We started 8 a.m. on Friday, and we were done by about 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And that's for everything. That's for everything on display.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, so I do see that there's also some cars that are actually running or driving around. How does that system work out?
We build our own roads out of Lego bricks, and underneath the Lego brick is a metal rod. So we'll just make sure that the metal rod lines up with everything that's in the town, and then there's the magnet on the bus, and it's just following where we put the rod.
Okay, yeah, because that was going to be how I figured it out. There's some kind of a magnet going, but having the metal rod, that is just ingenious. Did you who figured out how to do that?
Ben figured it out.
Okay, yeah, and so then is it running along all the stuff, or there's a specific route that you have mapped out?
There's a specific route right now. We're talking about, this is the first time we've expanded our residential area. Okay. So we're talking about having another route and having multiple vehicles run on it at the same time.
Yeah, that would be incredible. This is just, I'm blown away. I saw this and I was like, I have to talk to the person doing this. Can you give me a rough count of how many blocks you think?
10. There's 10 blocks here.
10 blocks?
10 blocks. Yeah. No clue. Millions, 10 millions.
Yeah.
Tens of millions.
Absolutely.
Just our railroad track section alone is probably 300 pieces involved just in a single track. Like this road here, you can see there's a base plate, and then there's bricks, and then there's plates on top of that, and then there's tiles, and then each brick you can see in the road with a plate for the dotted yellow line. And
oh my gosh, yeah. Extremely involved. Amazing detail. One question about the downtown, though.
Yes.
Is there any Back to the Future reference?
No. We have talked about it at this show, though, about having a DeLorean parked in the barn by the alien craft.
Yes, that would be a perfect location for it. All right. Well, anything what's your favorite part of the build?
Probably Ben's moving bus.
The moving bus? Yeah, that is really incredible.
I also like I like any Lincoln reference. So I like Haymarket Park. I like the old Dirt Cheap records. I like Laszlo's, the Joyo Theater, of course.
Okay, is this kind of a representation of downtown Lincoln?
I've added parts of Lincoln that I love. So a lot of the Lincoln references are mine. So.
All right. Well, again, this is incredible. Nate, thank you so much for taking the time, giving me a little peek behind the curtain here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Following that up was probably the next coolest display, which was called the Great Ball Contraption and consisted of a perpetual loop that tiny plastic balls would travel around. The GBC, as it's affectionately known, had over 8 builders, and I was able to speak with one of them, John Tooker. John Tooker here with a crazy contraption of a Lego build. It's actually called the Great Ball Contraption. This thing is massive. Can you kind of talk me through your build here?
Sure. I have a bunch of these castle modules here. So each one of the parts of the GBC is called a module, and there's an input bucket that receives balls at a certain height, and then all it has to do is pass the balls along at the right rate, and any way it does it is allowed. So that gives a great deal of flexibility, creativity, and just varying degrees of design for, I don't know, interesting ways to get the ball from here to there.
Oh yeah, I mean, from an engineer's standpoint, looking for like small points of failure, like on a small contraption, there's like hundreds sometimes, but this is massive. Like I'm looking at maybe like thousands of pinch points here. Like, how often does things go haywire on this?
Well, as a whole, all the time, but some modules are pretty reliable and some less so. We have some spare modules that we can swap in and out, which is great. So if something really does fail, too bad, then we can take it out and hopefully put in something better.
Yeah, it looks like maybe like a lot of trial and error. Like you finally find something that works, and then you just kind of stick with it, and that's where it goes on the contraption. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's a lot of that, and then it'll get worn down or something, so all of a sudden it'll just stop working. So sometimes it'll work well for a long time, and other times it goes to pieces earlier. Okay.
I did see an info tag earlier, but how long is it? How many pieces? How long did it take you to build?
Well, so as a club, we've been working on this for several years, and it's just kept on growing. I have no idea how many pieces, but I do know there were about 59 modules in it. It's about 58 feet long, and it holds about 300 balls. So we've got about 300 balls that are going through here at any given time. And it takes about 11 minutes for a ball to go from one part all the way back around the loop to where it started.
Wow, that is just awesome. And there's so much detail. There's all kinds of different, as he said, there's so many different modules. It's just awesome. I really like it. So what's your favorite part of the whole module?
Oh, I like building castle stuff, and I've been trying to get more movement into my creations. So that's kind of what started me doing here. I built this drawbridge as a great way to get out from under the table without having to crawl under it. So I like that one a lot. And I somewhat recently redone the mechanism that lifts the balls into a wheel that's been a lot more reliable than the stairs that I had before.
Okay. Well, this is just phenomenal and massive. But I know you got a show coming up, so I'll let you to it. But I do appreciate your time. Another great build was a dwarven cave with a minecart and was cut away at the side so you could see inside. This was built by Josh. Josh here, and I'm looking at his crazy build here. Can you kind of walk me through what's going on here?
Yeah, so it is a big underground dwarven mine. You kind of see it from the perspective of like an ant farm, where it's cut down the side so you can see the different tunnels. It has a handful of different moving parts in it. There's a mine cart that rotates and races through it. There's a conveyor belt on the far side of it that's got a bunch of different gems and dwarves riding around in baskets. It's a handful of layers deep. There's a bunch of different things happening in it. There's a little dwarf town. There's a battle with orcs, a bunch of different gems and mines throughout. And
Yeah, all sorts of little like attentions to details here and there, or little things. What's your favorite part of your build?
Honestly, the roller coaster, only because I spent so much time trying to get it to work perfectly and to not have to come and mess with it every 5 minutes, so it ran on its own the most.
Yeah, dealing with trains and just motion in general is just difficult to get to work. So it's awesome. I really love your build. How long did it take you to build?
This one I've been working on for a few months, just a few hours when I had time on the weekends, that kind of stuff. So I've been slowly making it bigger, plan on adding a few more pieces to it eventually.
Of course, no LEGO convention is complete without nerdy builds, and Star Wars came out in force. I saw several different variations of Star Wars builds, and even an entire wearable, yes, wearable, LEGO Mandalorian armor set. But the one I liked the most was a classic Hoth scene created by Ashley. Tell me about your awesome Hoth scene here.
I guess I've always wanted to do a Hoth scene. I feel like it's been done a million times, but I had to do my own version of it. I started with the towers, and I got my AT-AT all restored in all original parts. It's a 2004 AT-AT, and I just wanted to get the whole feel for the battle, and it's a really short couple minutes of the movie, but it's just such a big part of the whole.
Oh yeah, it's an extremely iconic scene, and just it's amazing. I love all your little attention to detail here. You actually have the AT-AT stepping on the snowspeeder. How'd you work that one out?
Actually, it sat better that way. So he actually has a foot to rest there, so he stands up better resting on there, and he looks like he's moving, and it got like the motion of it going, and it
definitely doesn't look like a stagnant piece. It looks like it's moving, even though it is stagnant. And then of course you have Luke down there, but it looks like he's having a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, trying to get over the terrain is a little rough on him, but they're doing all right.
No, this was an amazing piece, and I just happened to see it and I loved it. You even have Han on the Tauntaun.
Oh, of course. You have to have a Tauntaun if you're doing a Hoth piece.
That's right. Last but not least, Jeff Sitka brought his amazing Star Trek ship builds. These are all one of a kind, as LEGO doesn't have any actual buildable Star Trek sets. But Jeff didn't let that stop him. Looking at your Star Trek builds here, which are fantastic. I'm a huge Trekkie. I love Trekkie. Out of the other two co-hosts, they're all about Star Wars. I'm the only one, with a bit of sense to myself here. So we got a couple of different designs here. Can you kind of walk me through your builds?
Sure. If you're familiar with Star Trek Axanar, I was inspired by the Ares from Star Trek Axanar, as well as the Reliant from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
And I kind of designed this based on that. This is I intended this to be more of an Excelsior type of design. Initially, I had built this. It had a twin neck. That's why the body's so wide. But the necks kept breaking off. I wanted to go with that for neck style. And so I had to lower the nacelles, and I had to lower the saucer, and it fits together a whole lot better now. This is about 12 pounds. I dare not turn it over, but I can take it, and it's a little more, it's swooshable. Of course, you got the O-berth from Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. I kind of was inspired by the Radiant class from Star Trek Picard, the four-nacelled Stargazer.
Yeah.
This was just something I pulled out from a whole bunch of spare parts and built. That was inspired by the Prometheus from Star Trek Voyager episode Message in a Bottle. And that thing is about 22 and a half pounds. It's too heavy to pick up and stay in one piece.
Oh yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. I've always been a Star Trek fan, and these pieces were actually inspired by Star Wars. These were Star Wars sets that I bought. Those are snowspeeder panels, and I just ended up with a lot of printed and stickered pieces collecting Lego when I first got back into it, and I decided to use them to jazz up my builds.
Yeah, what really drew me to these is I've actually been wanting to build some Star Trek ships, but I can't find any Star Trek from Lego. So these are all custom builds then?
These are. I just kind of make them up out of my head. From using those pieces from a Star Wars set, I knew how big I wanted the primary hull, the saucer section to be, and from there it kind of drives the size of the entire rest of the build. Then you actually you get into the planning of it and draw it out on graph paper so you know how big each section needs to be. With a saucer section that's 20 studs in diameter, I knew that the nacelles had to be like 24 studs long, and then from there you start to actually build. Once you actually start to build, though, you find that there's some design limitations inherent in the size of the build, and so you end up with some kind of big bulky nacelles like that when they should be a lot thinner. You've got the nacelle struts that should be a lot thinner that have to be more bigger to support the weight of that as well. These are solid all the way through. But it's a whole bunch of fun. There are no actual Star Trek sets because Star Trek is Creo and Mega Block have Star Trek. Lego's got Star Wars, and they basically told that they could not have both. However, if you go to rebrickable.com, Rebrickable has a number of Star Trek ships on there that you can build and design. And there's a number of Facebook pages where guys share a lot of designs.
So there's like actual designs out there, so if you want to build something that may not be an actual Lego set, they have like all the diagrams and everything that teach you how to build it and go from there.
Exactly. You can build it in Lego. There's a gentleman named Chris Ames, and he has a number of small, pretty small, like 5, 6, 7, 8 inch long starships that he's done that are they're a lot easier to build. Don't require as much of an investment in parts. And he's got all the plans for those as well. He's got his own little business. I highly recommend. I can't think of his website off the top of my head, but it's a really good website. A lot of easy to build plans if you're looking to get back into it, and you can make them as fancy as you want to.
Oh, that's incredible that those resources are out there. So, how long did your Nemesis here take to build?
Nemesis and Intrepid both took about 2 or 3 days to design and about 2 weeks or so to build. I lucked out. I had all the pieces I wanted in hand. I didn't have to order on Bricklink or anything like that. Each of the smaller ships just took maybe a day to design and just maybe 2 or 3 days to build. And of course, I play whenever I'm building a Star Trek ship, I've got, I start with Star Trek 1, the motion picture, work my way through the Star Trek movies while I'm listening to it in my office where I have my build space in the background.
Okay. Do you have a Enterprise, the original 1701 Enterprise?
I built one of those for a show a couple years ago, but it was clunky. It wasn't really coming together for me. It had a lot of flaws into it. I only built it for the one show, and I didn't keep it. And all of these will be dismantled after the show here.
Well, that's unfortunate, but fortunate because then we get to see what other amazing creations that you get to come up with.
Well, you guys keep coming and showing interest, and I'll keep on building.
In the end, it was just an awesome experience to see all these builds from some extremely talented people. I look forward to the next LEGO convention and might even take up the hobby myself. Thank you everyone for taking the time to give us a listen. Don't forget to check out our merch store, geekbattalionvets.threadless.com, or hit us up on one of our social media sites at GeekBNVets. That's Geek Bravo November Vets. And if you want to drop us a direct line, you can send us an email at geekbattalionvets@gmail.com. Thank you again. I've been Jimmy. Geek Battalion out.